Hi everyone, I'm Shauna and welcome to my channel. In today's video, it's going to be a little of a chatty one, and I'm going to be talking about what it was like to learn ballet for the first time as an adult. This video was supposed to come more to like the middle of June after the full year had finished. And our year was cut short in March. The studio was breaking for March break, and then we just never came back. And so I guess we did like leave at around the same time as everybody else. It felt a bit different because it was like a structured break and then we just never came back. So I'm hoping in this video I can answer as many kinds of questions that I think somebody might have if they were interested in learning ballet. This video is about my experience, and everybody's experience is going to be different based on your city and your instructor. Even though that's the case, I still hope that I can answer some of the questions that I know I had when I was starting up. So I'm going to talk about what interested me in learning ballet, and then I'm going to mostly talk about my actual experiences dancing, what it was like to actually learn it for the first time. I'll talk a little bit about expenses and costs, what you have to wear, and all of those kinds of things as they pertain to my own experience. If you have any questions that I haven't addressed and you would like answered, please feel free to ask them in the comment section below. I would love to answer if I can. Ballet for me, I think, was a bit out of character and certainly surprised some of my family members. And I think part of that is like who they like perceive me to be, but also adult dance is not common, I guess. And so just the fact of like somebody taking a class, it was surprising in itself. So as a kid, I never really danced. I did like 1 year of acro and 1 year of hip hop. I think that was it. Never really seriously danced anywhere. It was like kind of recreationally. That was also a really long time ago. I also never did ballet or anything that involved a turnout or even like pirouettes. Nothing of that kind of nature. I became interested in ballet because I saw somebody that I follow on YouTube, and she's from Texas and we don't even live in the same country, and she used to dance. I'm not quite sure at what level, but she joined adult ballet class and she was showing some of her class moves and things like that on her Instagram. And I went like, wow, that looks like a lot of fun. Could I do that? I used to be much more involved with the gym, and at one point I really loved weightlifting and like being a part of that gym life. And I still go to the gym, but like my love isn't quite there. So I have been not actively, but like receptive to other kinds of forms of exercise. And if there's anybody out here being like, ballet is not an exercise, please go do a ballet session. Please. It's way harder and way more of an exercise than you might think. So it kind of got into my head a bit, and I was thinking about it for weeks, and I just somehow the idea kind of like stuck. I think this was in like either spring or early summer, and then around like July or August, I think it was more August, I began like, let me just look. And I live in a town of about 100,000. We have 3 dance studios, and only 2 did adult classes of any kind, and only 1 had like a full year ballet class. So I went to the studio and I talked to them, and I was like, I'm interested in ballet. I have no idea what I'm doing, what I need to do, if I'm even gonna like it. They were so kind. The studio that I dance at is a family-owned business. They were just so sweet. And I think that a lot of the adults who come to the class or who are registering for this first time feel the same way that I did. They offer a very specific payment plan for adults because of this, and I'll get to that in a little bit. So I just signed up. Like, I just did it. I don't know how to describe it, but it felt almost like I was taking the plunge, like I was doing something that I'd never done before that was so new. and I just kind of did it. Yeah, I was a little bit giddy about it. So in terms of costuming or what you have to wear and also the cost, I'm going to talk about all of those next. So the startup cost was first the shoes, and I have mine right here. My little shoes, they are canvas. There are two kinds of ballet shoes. There are the canvas shoes and then the leather shoes. I obviously went for the canvas, not into wearing leather. I was even surprised that my town had anything to offer, because I look at Toronto and there's just so much going on there, like the National Ballet. They even run classes and there's just so much to offer there. And I was like, my town, like we're not even big enough to be called a city. So it was like, my town, like what do we have? And like all you need is one offering. And people were coming from all over to take this class. Someone from Oakville, another person from Burlington, which I guess doesn't really matter to you unless you're directly from the GTA. So I got a little bit off tangent. So the shoes are about $20, the canvas ones, and then the other cost is the class itself. So my class is $62 a month. That is tax included, and it is from September to May. Now, the studio offers a bi-month payment, a yearly payment, also like a 10 class pack. So they also offer a couple, like 1 to 2 other dances. They don't run them all every year. And so I could theoretically get like a 10 pack and then go a couple times to like a modern class or a lyrical class. And this year I think they're offering tap. So I could theoretically just take a couple of here and there. And their payments, I don't think they let the kids in the studio pay like this, but for all of the adults, if you pay by month, there is no additional cost than paying yearly. And they have that like specifically for the adults because we don't also know if we're gonna like it. I appreciate their system because I would never have signed up for a full year if I didn't know how it was going to go. I probably would never have done it. So I totally appreciate that kind of payment that they do. Similar to that is like, what do you wear? What do you expect it to wear? I think I assumed I would have to wear like a leotard or maybe even tights or something. They basically will be like, wear what you would wear to the gym. They just request that your hair be up, and especially for the first few weeks to be able to see like your neck and shoulders. So like a tighter t-shirt or even like any kind of tank top. And at first I was kind of like, really? It's actually true. Posture is so important in ballet, and you can tell really quick if somebody has good posture or not. And like you do need to be able to see some of those things. So we were able to wear whatever we wanted as long as it was like workout kind of wear. So the actual startup is $20, which I think is great. And then your charge for the class is just the same throughout the year. And if you are just like, I only want to come for 1 month, they will let you do that as well. There's a couple of women in their 70s who just stayed around for September, which was really lovely. And people joined mid-year at mid-year as well. And also like when I was picking a class, I was a bit nervous about it because I wanted to do something kind of like professional, you know, like at a proper studio. And I didn't even know that that existed. And I never looked into adult dance before, I think because the kind of adult dance I've seen has been at a leisure center. That wasn't for me. It's definitely for some people, but it was not for me. And I wanted something that like kind of gave me that full experience. And I love the studio that I picked, and I love ballet. I truly did. And going into it, I was so nervous because I'd never done it before. Like I had never even seen a ballet. And I was like, am I being impulsive? I wasn't impulsive because I waited weeks to sign up, and then I went, and then I loved it. I fell in love with ballet, and it was unexpected. I didn't expect to love it as much as I do. So in the class that I'm at, it is an 18 plus class, and our ages run the gamut. There's one girl who is like 17, 18, and there has been like 1 or 2 other people who've been in their 20s. Majority are in their 30s and 40s. That's like 90% of the class. And then there have been some women who've been in their 60s and 70s who've danced. And the instructor, I think, is much less strict with us than with kids of any level. they don't have the same expectations for us. I think we know what we're capable of and like if we can do movements or not. And the critiques are they're not overwhelming either. It's a slow build up. You know, you might get a critique in the first couple of weeks, like, okay, make sure you keep your turnout, make sure you keep your turnout. And then later, watch your extension, watch your lift, like watch your, like, are your arms in there? And the critiques get more sophisticated over time, but it's not like 12 critiques at once. And at the beginning of this season, there was more time at the bar than later on. So all of our classes, which I think is pretty standard even for like professional ballerinas, to spend time at the bar and then like in the center or doing floor work. So at the beginning, it'd be more like 45 minutes of the hour class at the bar. Then it did get less over time. So like maybe 30 or like 20 minutes, 25. And then we would do work on the floor. In the first couple of classes, I definitely felt overwhelmed because they're trying to teach you some of the basics, like your positions and like what they look like, your positions with your feet and your positions with your arms, and like what is a turnout. And then you hear all of these French terms, oh, like your plie, your grand plie, your grand battement, your tendu, your frappe, and it's just a lot. And I was definitely overwhelmed. Just like, yeah, with the terminology and so much knowledge kind of being thrown at you at one time. But over the weeks, it did get easier. And I looked at where I was in March when we finished in the beginning of the year. My turnout was pretty close to 90 degrees, not quite, when I had no turnout at the beginning of the year. Through the year, like there is, I think, a pretty standard sequence of like bar activities. Like you start with your plie, grand plie, then you go into your tendus, your rond de jambe. So we got used to a routine, and then what she would do is she would tweak the movement, and then like 1 week add something in, and then we would work on it and work on it and work on it, and then she might tweak that, and then she'll add something in. And I wasn't great at a lot of it. And obviously after weeks and weeks of practice, you do get better, but there's still stuff that jumps in general, I'm so terrible at. Frappes, I'm pretty bad at as well. I love a plie, I love a tendu, and pirouettes. Let's talk about pirouettes for a second. Pirouettes have definitely like been the goal of the class to like get everybody to doing a pirouette. And I think if I were to have finished the season, I think I might have been able to do one. I've been so close and like having little baby ones, but pirouettes are really difficult and I find them really difficult. And and at one point, my gym has a dance studio with a bar in it, and I was going in and I was practicing, and I was like practicing my pirouettes, and she has a Spotify playlist that she uses for the class. And so when I wasn't in class and I was like practicing or now at home, because I'm used to the songs, I can imagine, okay, now this is the one we do this movement to, even though I can't remember the names. And I can't remember the names of all of the movements, but like I know what they look like. I really loved her style and this like constant like work on this same routine for a couple of weeks, tweak one thing, add something. And even like our tendus, we still did tendus, but they changed throughout the year and things got more complicated. One of the things I love about ballet is that when you're learning, there's a lot of structure to it. And I know professional ballerinas, like they add their own flair, but when you're learning, to me, it's very different than some of the other styles where you're asked to maybe freestyle or there's more of that flair. But ballet has a lot of structure and it has a lot of, this is the correct posture and movement. And I'm somebody who really excels at learning and following posture. As an example, like weightlifting, there's a lot of, technique, that's the word, technique, of learning techniques. And like I thrive on those kinds of skills and those kinds of activities I think that's why I really liked weightlifting as well. I think I can pick up technique and I can hone in on that. And even if I'm not doing it, I feel as though I have a good sense of if I'm doing it or not, or how much I'm following it. Ballet was a little bit different because I actually found it really difficult to learn and I was never great at anything. It was just more difficult to learn and pick up those skills and pick up those techniques. But because there was technique to follow, that's what I really liked. And I think I am and have been a pretty good judge of if I have that technique for that skill and like where I am with that, at least in regards to ballet. So I really love that about it. I love the technique aspect. And I think that's why I find pirouettes so frustrating, is because I'm struggling with the technique of it. And that's not really something that I experience. Still, being able to perform a polished pirouette is still a goal of mine. So around January, our instructor introduced the possibility of a recital. And for the women in the class who've been doing it for a few years, they had never done a recital before and it was never introduced to them as a possibility. I also forgot to say, the class is truly a blend of skills and levels, but there are people like me who are brand new to dance really and ballet. There's some, as an example, who did things like modern and like they were doing pirouettes and they were doing some movements that are similar. Like I had none of that experience. So there was one girl who comes, she's regularly on point shoes. And then there was another girl who came in for a class. She was on point as well. There are many who have done the class for several years. And then there's one one woman who stands out. Excellent, like ex-professional ballerina. Her technique is amazing. I drool over her technique. And like the class has room for everybody. For a lot of the movements, the instructor will be like, okay, there's 3 options here. You do this, this, or this. Like I'm going to demonstrate like while we dance the basic movement. And if you want to do those other 2, those are up to you. I think that's what made the class so great, is that like everybody could dance at their own pace. There, even with people who are new or returning, there's definitely a gradient of skill. People of skill level, people who pick it up faster than others, and people who just have natural talent, people who struggle a little more. And there was nobody felt like crap because they couldn't keep up with something or they couldn't do it. There was so much support and love there for everybody, and just supporting us where we're at, because we are not professionals. And we are not ever expecting to dance on point or to dance in any kind of professional setting. So she introduced the possibility of a recital in around January, like mid-January. I was definitely a bit hesitant about that. And so many of the other women were as well, because many of them have kids who are also dancing. And there was no pressure. It was just like, we have an opportunity for a recital. If you want to do it, fine. If not, fine. And some women decided not to do it. Some women decided to do it. And many who decided to, I remember one woman in particular, she was like, I tell my daughter she needs to push herself and to like go out of her comfort zone and to just try stuff. Like, what kind of role model am I if I don't do the same thing? And I really love that she's trying to role model for her child. All kinds of skill levels said yes. Some people said hell no. There was no guilting or like, why aren't you doing it? It was just like, okay, fabulous. And because we're all at different ages and we all have different body types and we all have different insecurities, she picked a costume that was like really elegant and beautiful that everybody liked. We all agreed on it and it was really beautiful. Obviously, I don't have it. It never went into production, because the costume was confirmed just like 1 or 2 weeks before things got shut down. So it never went into production. And obviously the recital is not happening. The recital routine was so beautiful and I think complemented all of our skill levels. And like, I feel so I would have been able to do it had it gone on. The last thing I want to talk about is how our current society treats and venerates professionalism. In that, we generally only celebrate people or allow people without criticism to celebrate themselves if they are professionals, if they are talented. Those things are somehow worthy of sharing. And so we shame people for being mediocre. We shame people for not having their dance together or their art together. And it feels almost like, how dare you call yourself an artist if you're somehow not good according to standards of whoever is judging you? And the only way and reason in which you should share and be proud of your talents is if you've won awards, you're on point, or you are somehow a great artist. And I have huge problems with that. We teach people in order to be proud of your accomplishments and your skills, in order to gain joy out of them, means to be professional, means to be successful in some kind of way. And those kinds of things make people feel bad for where they are in life. But also, I think we don't teach or celebrate enough doing things for ourselves. Being mediocre at something, being bad at something, and that's fine. That's okay. I don't have to be a great ballet dancer to love ballet or to celebrate my love of ballet or to share that with my family and friends. That's not what it is. And this experience has really shown me that part of our society, that I want to celebrate my friends for their talents and their enjoyments for where they are. They don't have to be in art galleries or dancing on professional stage for me to celebrate them. If you like something, that's good enough to share it. You don't have to be a professional, and I hope that's clear. And so when we are dancing as adults, we are coming at all kinds of ages and body types, and we are never expecting to dance on point. We are telling people to come as you are, and however that is good enough. You are good enough to dance at however it is you are right now. And we have a variety of abilities in our class. A variety. We have a variety of ages and talents and body types, and those are things that I am happy about. And I think for me, the biggest lesson of this year has been to be okay with being mediocre at things in life. And I don't need to be great at something to love it and have enjoyment. And I used to be, at the beginning of the year, I was a bit embarrassed about the ballet because I wasn't very good at it. And I felt silly loving it. And I think that once you allow yourself to be bad at something and like accept it, it just opens up so much more opportunity for happiness and like enjoyment in life. And ever since I started accepting that, ballet has become so much more enjoyable. There's no pressure to master anything, to be good at anything. And like however my body is that day, however good I am or skilled I am that day is good enough. And yeah, I have some goals of learning how to pirouette, but when or if that comes is like, it is what it is. And having goals is not the same as trying to garner or harness perfection. It's setting goals allows me to strive for something and to keep momentum alive. Yeah, to really keep momentum, especially if you're in times where it's waning. I have loved my experience learning ballet, and I wish I was able to do the recital. The video was supposed to come after the recital and share like my costume and maybe even like some pictures from the recital, or maybe even like a video or something like that. But my first year of ballet has been excellent, and I have learned skills, and I have, I guess, worked out in a way that is just like pleasurable. It's just fun, and I wish more of my workouts were like that. It was the bright spot of my week. I so looked forward to it. I loved it. They've announced their next season, their 2020-2021 season. I don't actually know if things are gonna go through. If they are, I would love to go back for another season. It's one of those things that like we have to take it as it comes. We can't really assume that things are going to be around and and they're just going to function normally come September. We'll have to see, but I really hope so because I've learned a lot about myself and gained a lot of skills, and like I feel a little bit more graceful. I feel as though my posture has changed. And I've found a fun way of even working out at home. I still do ballet at home. I have my soundtrack, I have my shoes, I have some basic workout gear. I do it at home. When our season was canceled, I was honestly like devastated. I was so sad. I was looking forward to dancing the recital, and that's this mediocrity thing I was talking about is exactly one of the reasons why I wanted to dance in the recital. Like the recital for me was just celebrating where I am. I don't need to be good to have fun at the recital. I don't need to be excellent or professional. I can just love it, and like that's enough. And however it looks is however it looks. And that's one of the things I was looking forward to was the recital. I hope I can come back in a year and let you know what a second year of ballet was like, what dancing in my first recital was like. I hope those are things that I can say. We'll have to see in where we're at next year. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that I've answered some of your questions, or you just enjoyed hearing a little chat about ballet. Let me know if you have any more questions below. If you are also a first-time dancer, what your experience was like. I would love to hear about your experience as well. Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again around here soon. Bye.